Yo, yo, yo. Another great game there by the Miami Hurricanes. That was absolutely awesome. Nice to see us win again. I'm sure Slim will have something to say about this game. But one thing I did want to do before we jumped into this show, though, it's always a shame when you lose somebody in the college football community. And I just thought we'd take a moment and it's not every day that you have to say goodbye to somebody or something like the hearts and souls of all the Florida State fans. So if we could take a second just to appreciate them and let them know that they are in our thoughts and prayers as we speak. So Alex, Slim, how's it going, guys?
Fuck that. They can go to hell. I still remember all the shit they talked.
Oh, what a sinking ship. What was that? Memphis? I think it was Memphis, right?
That was the Memphis Tigers, who I even
Mike
said it
Norvell's.
preseason. I said it preseason. They were, and so did everybody else. They were on the short list of possible Group of 5 teams to make the playoffs. So that was a game Florida State was going to have to look out for, but not so much. Memphis pretty much dominated that game.
I mean, I said it to you guys in our group chat. And this is legitimately not a hyperbole. I'm not exaggerating when I say this. That Florida State team might legitimately be the worst football team I've ever seen in my life. I'm not joking. They can't. It's either DJU is overthrowing receivers or throwing the ball out of bounds, or when he's getting accurate, receivers can't catch the ball. The O-line can't block. The D-line can't generate anything. The running backs are going nowhere at all. I mean, that is legitimately a terrible football team. And the funniest part is they extended their coach for 10 years.
You got to love. Did you see on Twitter where that one guy put that DJ could overthrow Castro and the whole Cuban government or whatever? I thought that was hilarious.
Well, I mean, they're more than just a bad football team. Like that has really devolved into a bad football program. Last year was a good team, but they are a bad program now.
I mean,
And
I was
how the mighty have fallen.
I was saying it in the offseason, and before last year even started, I was like, this is your one shot. And I was saying it to a bunch of my friends who go to FSU, who are FSU fans. I was like, this is your one shot, because when all these guys leave, Mike Norvell has not recruited high school. And you're not going to get a Keon Coleman, which either way, he's overrated as fuck. You're not going to get another Johnny Wilson. You're not going to be able to replace Jordan Travis. There's no quarterback behind Jordan Travis. You're not going to be able to replace a Jared Verse, the big D tackle that got Fisk. When these guys leave, this is your shot. And I was being generous because I was like, you're probably going to go like 8-4 next year. They might not even win a game. They might go like 1-11, 2-10. Like legitimately, like when you look at their schedule, like tell me who on here they can beat. I mean, next they play Cal, which, yeah, they play them at home, but you saw what they did to Auburn. And I think Auburn is a better football team than FSU. Then they go to at SMU. That's winnable. SMU is just a team full of Manny Diaz, Miami rejects. But still, like, that's not a guaranteed win for them. They get Clemson at home. They have to go to Duke. That's a winnable game, I guess. They come here. We should beat them. We should beat them by 60, but then again, it's a rivalry game. You never know. North Carolina at home. They have to go to Notre Dame. Yeah, Notre Dame lost to IU, but beat Purdue today, 66-7. Then they get Charleston Southern at home, and then they get Florida at home. I mean, I see maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 winnable, like legitimate, like 50-50 games, maybe.
Well,
we could be talking about
I don't
4
think
and 8, 5 and
Auburn,
7.
I don't think Auburn is better than them. So therefore, I think they can't win the Cal game. I mean, listen, for as bad as we think DJ is, Peyton Thorne threw 4 interceptions. 2 of them were called back because of penalties. So he actually threw 6. That Auburn team is bad, and I mean really bad.
Yeah, I mean, I said they're bad. I mean, I said they're better than FSU, but shit, bro, fucking. There's probably high school teams here in Miami that are better than FSU. Oh, we got you cutting up. We're having technical difficulties.
Yeah, for what? It's Slim riding down the road today, not you for the first time. Yeah. So what kind of stats do we end up? You got those pulled up there? I was kind of curious. Alex, you got those pulled up, or? I think Alex is muted too. So we're off to a dandy start. Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks everybody for tuning in. Good to have all of you here. We did have the first half. I thought was a little bit Slim. Did you get to see the first half, or?
Well, the first half kind of aggravated me, if I'm going to be honest. Like, well, I say the first half. The first quarter, it almost seemed like they needed a quarter, and maybe it was because of the lightning delay, which you do see happen. But the first quarter, definitely, they had to get their head out of their butts.
Right, 100%. And, it was pouring down rain there, right at first. And then, the god-awful humidity that's going to come after that. So, it does take, you get pumped up, ready to play. Then you have to sit for 2.5 hours and wait and then go back out there in the humidity. So
yeah, they were a little sluggish coming off, but I do think that can definitely be attributed to the delay. And then, of course, the rain there at the beginning. I'm not sure what Ball State's plan was there throughout, well, really any of the game, but especially the first half. It's like I realize that the weather kind of favors the run game, but when you have the level of quarterback and receivers we do, they're still going to be able to get passes off. So trying to completely sell out on the run, I don't know, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
I'm sorry, I had to step away for a second. What did I miss?
We started covering the game. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, judging by what you're saying, I mean, yeah, in that game, Ball State was just completely selling up, stacking the box, and being like, "We dare you to throw the ball, Mr. Heisman candidate quarterback with 300 yards in each of his last 2 games. There's no way you could beat us passing." And it's like, okay, bro. I mean, that's what you want to do.
I mean, what do you think? What do you attribute the sluggish start? What do you think it was because of the 2-hour delay, and then, of course, the rain at the beginning of the game?
I think it was that, and then even then, people are like, "Oh, they had this really like sluggish start." I mean, it was 10. I mean, when you're coming off a 2-hour delay, and then it's 10-0 at the end of the first quarter, then there was Jacoby George dropped the ball. And something that we need to remember is Ball State had the ball longer than us in the first half. I think the time of possession was like 16.5 minutes to 13.5 minutes, roughly around there. So, they had more possession of the football. They were burning more time on the clock. So maybe that's why, halfway through the second quarter, the score wasn't exactly what people expected it to be. But 31 points and a half. You score 10 points in the first quarter and then come out in the second quarter and score 21 points. That's what you would hope for against a team when you're like Miami playing a team like Ball State. So,
that's why I really wasn't upset about the first half. Wasn't really the way to put it. I think it was, like I said, the sluggish start, which, like we said, could just be attributed to the 2-hour delay because you get pumped up, you're ready to go, get that adrenaline dump, and then, oh, wait, now we have to sit here on our thumbs for 2 hours.
I mean, it was so bad that there was one, they had them come out and warm up for a 4:45 kickoff, and then they delayed the game for another hour, and the guys had to come back out after that hour and then warm up again.
Yeah.
And, I mean, just looking at the scoring summary, I mean, We scored with 6:15 left in the first quarter on an 11-play, 71-yard drive that lasted 5 minutes and 10 seconds. I'm sorry, we scored a field goal, which that was the drive that Jacoby dropped the third down. And then we scored an Xavier Restrepo touchdown pass with 2:34 left. And then it sort of went – and then our next score didn't come until a Chris Johnson 37-yard touchdown pass off a 7th-play, 82-yard drive that lasted for 3 minutes. But there was one drive that I think it was sort of set by penalty, and we turned on third down and we had to run it. And then Ball State had a drive that was kept alive way longer than it should have been because there was that terrible roughing the passer call on Wesley Basaint. And then
that was a bad call. I saw the exact same thing happen in Georgia.
Immediately the next play, the Ball State receiver clearly fumbles. He not only catches the ball, but then he takes 2 steps and makes a move. And the refs are like, no, that's an incomplete pass. And, oh, by the way, we're not going to review it. Third down. And it's just like, bro, what? Like, what?
Yeah, those were two back-to-back really bad calls, I thought. But
yeah, and then they picked up the first down, and they got it to midfield, and they punted, whatever. And we got the ball with like 4 minutes left, and then we went on that touchdown drive. But, like, that's really what it was from.
Can we officially blame it on the refs that we didn't win by 60?
I mean, we did win.
Well, we did win by 60.
We did win by 60.
Oh, well, yeah, that's right. I mean, I meant to say 70, but yeah.
By 90. We should have won by 90.
Right, we should have won by 90. 69.
Well, I was
kind of hoping for 69.
I'd be the wrong person to ask if that was a legitimate roughing the passer, because I don't think any of them are legitimate.
I mean, no, you'd especially be pissed about this one because it was just like it's not even that Wesley Basaint got there half a second late. He got there on time as the quarterback's arm is moving forward, and they're like, oh, he hit him up high. And it's like, are you fucking stupid? His hands are high because he's trying to block the pass, but he can't block the pass, so he runs into the damn quarterback. That's not a hit up high.
Well, yeah. Well, in the NFL, that is roughing the passer. Now, if they have that same rule in college, once again, I don't agree with it. I don't like it, but because I saw it, I saw a replay of it, and no, I don't think it was roughing the passer, but I said I don't think any evidence.
Yeah, they're way too that rule's getting way too strict. I mean, if you can't go out there and play the game, then doesn't really
I just
make
have
sense.
I have a little update. I don't know how interesting this is to y'all, but Toledo is beating Mississippi State 35-3.
Wow.
And Kentucky's still up over Georgia as well, so that's quite interesting.
Also, can we talk about something that's a little bit of a hot topic that I feel we haven't really touched on? Sam Brown. I see a lot of people giving hate to him, and I can't fully judge it because I'm gonna act like I go back and watch every play and see what these guys are doing. But there are a lot of plays where it's like, Sam Brown, you need to catch the football. Like a lot of these plays, like they're hitting you. It's hitting both your hands, and you're just dropping the ball. Some people are talking about lack of effort on some plays. I don't know. Is that something you guys have noticed at all? I mean, I've noticed the drops, but I don't know about the lack of effort.
The drops.
It hasn't looked like lack of effort to me. Yeah, I've noticed the drops, and I wouldn't say it's looked like lack of effort. Because I've even seen him lay out for some. I don't know. Like I've just.
Yeah, I mean,
when it comes to transfers, especially receivers, not everybody learns the playbook at the same rate. Not everybody, like it's almost like it just hasn't quite clicked for him. And listen, if it's not going to click, this is where you want it not to.
Yeah. And also with the lack of everything, I find that just interesting because a lot of the plays that I do remember him on, it's for lack of effort. It's for plays like the second touchdown in the Florida game where he gets that big block that allows Mark Fletcher to go into the end zone and score. So I've seen effort out there from him from what I
Yes,
remember.
yes.
Obviously, I'm not gonna act like I remember every play or I go back and watch every play. But I just wanted to get your guys' opinion on that because it is a point of conversation that I have seen, and I was seeing during today's game. And I remember he did drop a couple passes, and people were comparing him to a certain Miami receiver from the past, who I'm not going to name names, but he wore the number 8, and he was known for dropping the ball, and that's where I'm going to leave that.
Yeah.
Well,
we won't call out anybody's name.
Like I said, I've seen effort like you brought out, especially in blocking.
Yeah.
And listen, I also don't think now, like you, I haven't gone back and watched every single play. I know several of the drops by him I've seen was some of it's good coverage. I mean, this isn't a 4-2 guy that's going to burn everybody. But some of the ones he's dropped is with a guy draped over him. It happens.
No, and there was one today that I saw people blaming him for, and I'm like, and it was on a play where Cam clearly threw behind him, and he gets a hand on it, and at the same time that he gets a hand on it, he's getting hit from the back. It's like, what is he supposed to do there? Not only did his quarterback throw it behind him, but getting hit at the same time. Like, can we take it a little easy? Like, I get that we're passionate and we expect a lot from players in this program, but you're not going to get perfect on every play. I mean, Cam has said it, Cam Underwood, that is, on the Wednesday show. I've heard him say it a few times where it's like, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. And I don't think he's necessarily even been that good or that great. He hasn't really blown me away with anything he's done, but he's not out here killing the team. He's not, he's not hurting us out there too much or really at all yet. So I don't know. I'd say just take it easy on that, because at the end of the day, these guys do see these things.
Now, I'll tell you something that's definitely not hurting, and I called this in the off season, and I've been waiting for it. And you mentioned it a minute ago. That touchdown pass to Chris Johnson Jr., that's what I've been waiting to see, is that man catch a pass with some feel in front of him and some good blocking and just drop a gear on everybody. No, and that's exactly what he did.
What's great is in the second half especially, they were using him. They would motion him out of the backfield and use him on screens. They would use him on a lot of swing passes. They would pass him out of the backfield. Like, they were very much including him in the passing game. They were using that type of passing game as an extension of the run game. And when you have a player like Chris Johnson, who is a track star, a legitimate high school track star, that is potentially very dangerous when we get to ACC play. And it could be dangerous next week when we play the second best team in Florida, USF. Because let's face it, FSU in Florida. Let's face it, FSU in Florida. Florida.
Well, they're fighting for second place right now. UCF has it by default.
I'm sorry, I forget those jokers.
They're easily forgettable. Yeah, they are.
Yeah. It's especially funny when they're like, it's a big 4 now, not a big 3. And it's like, dude, I forget you're even in the Power 5. Like, come on. Or Power 4, sorry.
Now, what'd you think of Emory Williams today?
He looked good.
Did you get to watch? Did you get to watch much of that, or?
Yeah. He actually looked really good. And it's obviously great to see him out there after he had that devastating injury end his season last year. He didn't play last game. They gave the nod to Reese, but today he got the nod, which it's nice to see, because last year we had that point of conversation with a certain backup quarterback that wasn't getting playing time. He looked good.
He threw for 11 out of 12 for 161 yards. So.
Yeah, they had. Yeah, and here's my thing too. When they're jumping on Sam, there were 10 incompletions in the whole game. 10.
Right.
Yeah, and also
I'm not. When you have 10 incompletions for an entire game and you have upwards of 40 passes, I'm not complaining. I'm just not.
yeah, not just that, but it was great to see Emery in plays that aren't just screen, slant, screen,
Right. Yeah, they
little
actually
short
let him
2-yard
throw,
out.
which was cool.
Right, beautiful pass to Elijah Lofton, which is another thing. It's great to see these these tight ends actually getting implemented in the offense this year. You had Elijah Lofton 2 catches for 51 yards and a touchdown. Cam McCormick got a catch for 9 yards. Elijah Arroyo 2 catches, 53 yards with a touchdown. Yeah, and then we obviously saw it in the Florida game. We saw it last week against FAMU. It just like they were saying it on the broadcast at the end of the game. It really does open up the offense and gives you more options when you're able to implement your tight ends like that.
Oh, it does. And your tight ends have to be an effective weapon if you want to make a run, any kind of a run at the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, last year we saw like tight ends had like 150 yards, and when you pair lack of tight end play with, the hell is he doing?
Oh, you got a rat in your room, man.
He's rubbing himself on the door. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? No, my bro. I'm not gonna say. I'll tell you that in the back. My brother just had to give him a bath. Fucking stupid dog. I love him though. But whatever. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I mean last year when you paired the ineffectiveness of the tight ends, largely because Elijah Arroyo did not play last year, with a quarterback who could not read a defense and was throwing 3 interceptions a game, you saw the defense that we had during the middle of last season. But then now you have an elite Heisman caliber quarterback with very good receivers, which we had good receivers last year, and great tight end play, and you have the most points in school history through 3 games.
I'm gonna take it kind of easy on he who must not be named, because for those that didn't watch, I was before we got up and going and out of the house today for what we were doing. I was watching an Alabama-Wisconsin game, and he left that game early, and it did not look good. That was a bad hit. Yeah, he came back out later in street clothes and crutches with his leg in a brace. It looked like his right knee. That didn't look good. And I mean, I don't wish injury on anybody.
No, I mean,
who are you talking about?
Van Dyke.
Oh, I didn't catch that. I missed that game. So
yeah, it was like 4 minutes into the game, he went diving for a first down and like probably like I'm not even exaggerating when I say it's like blew his knee out. Like he was back on the sideline he was back on the sidelines in a brace with crutches. Like,
oh wow.
Yeah, it didn't look good. I watched it in real time. That did not look good.
And again, like what I'm like the comments that I was making there, like obviously like I hope he's okay. He always seemed like a nice dude, but like he just wasn't getting it cut here. He was too inconsistent. He had great games in 2021. 2022, I'm not going to say anything. You pair a bad offensive coordinator, and he was injured all that year. You know, he messed up his shoulder against Duke, and then messed it up again against FSU, and then messed it up again against Pitt.
Well, listen, and this isn't going to be a popular opinion, because a lot of Miami fans got pissy when Luke Fickell took that shot in the offseason. But he's not wrong. Luke Fickell is not wrong. Now, it's not Mario's fault necessarily, but it is Miami's fault. He's had, in his time at Miami, he had 4 offensive coordinators and 2 head coaches. That's not a recipe for success or development for anybody. Nobody's going to do good under those circumstances. And it could be, you stick Trevor Lawrence in those circumstances. He had 4. Because don't forget, when he first came in, He was a Dan Enos recruit.
Yeah, Dan Enos recruited him, but he never played under Dan Enos. He was a freshman in the
but
2020 year.
he went from, yes, but every recruit, you go from learning one handbook when you're recruited to by January you're being handed another playbook.
Okay.
Yeah, he's definitely not, he's a step above what DJ Ukulele, but boy, what a sad tale that one is too. That's turned out to be really bad.
No, that's not sad. That's funny. He's not injured. He's just bad.
Well, and DJ, listen, I mean, a lot of this season is not on DJ as much. Everybody knows this when it comes to football. Quarterbacks get undue credit and they get undue blame. It's just part of being a quarterback.
Yeah, but I think he had more receptions to like people in the stands than.
Well, I don't disagree with that, but he's also doing it with somebody constantly in his face.
Right.
That offensive line at Florida State is bad.
I mean, I told this to my friend who's an FSU fan before the year. I was like, if you guys want to have a good year, everything around DJ has to work. Because here's the truth about DJ. You saw it at Clemson, you saw it at Washington State. Not Washington State, I'm sorry, Oregon State. He's not going to win you a game. And he's not going to lose you the game. You can't look back at any of these losses and legitimately say it's on DJ. Because it's just not.
Yeah. And that's my whole point. Exactly. That's my whole point. Exactly. That offensive line can't protect for him, can't open up holes for the run game. When he, like Fool said it, when he does get balls to receivers, they're dropping them.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he had an interception today where the commentator's like, "Oh, that's a wobbly throw," and I was like, "Damn, that's an awful throw." But then they replayed it, and it's like, it's not a wobbly throw. It's just a second after the snap, he's got the defensive tackle on his face, and he hits him in the arm as he's throwing the ball.
Yep.
It's like, what do you want him to do there? And it's like, look, I like laughing at FSU as much as the next guy, but I'm also going to be fair here.
Yeah,
when you take
exactly.
Bad O-line, bad running backs, bad receivers, and pair it with a mediocre, decent quarterback and a bad system that has him throwing no vertical. They took 2 vertical shots today. One got picked and one was a big completion. The rest of the time, it's just screens or swing passes or like short routes, just barely beyond the line of scrimmage. They do not trust him.
Well, I'm not sure if it's not trusting him or not trusting the receivers. Because, we say, the vast majority of his incompletions are drop balls.
And I think it's also not trusting him because last year they had guys like Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson, and when Jordan Travis went out, you saw it in the Florida and Louisville games. It was the same offense, just screens, stuff behind the line of scrimmage or at the line of scrimmage or barely beyond the line of scrimmage. Yeah, I mean, and even then, like I don't watch every FSU game, but I had this same friend when we would talk last year while these games were on, and he was like, man, I can't stand Mike Norvell, this and that, and I was like, why? And he was like, his play call. He was saying this last year. His play calling is awful. He just keeps getting bailed out by great talent. That's last year that he was saying that. And it's showing up this year when the only talent he has is a bunch of backups from Alabama and DJ Ugabadoogie.
Ugabadoogie.
Yeah, he's horrible. So what do you think about our run game? Any concerns there? What do you think? It took a while to kind of get that going, I thought, tonight.
It did, but like we were saying, I think a lot of that can be attributed to the delay as it was.
Not even just the delay, but like Ball State was legitimately putting like 8 guys in the box, and when you have only there's only so many people you can pick up and block. But But you do eventually. They did eventually get it going. I mean, we did end up rushing for 243 yards. I'm gonna have to do better, obviously, next week against USF. We saw what they were able to do with Alabama in Tuscaloosa, and that's a night game next week at 7 p.m. And they're gonna want to win it because beating a top 10 ranked Miami team and then going on a run would look pretty good on their resume when it's time to consider them for the college football playoff.
Yeah, that's definitely not a game to look past.
It's
No,
not, but here's my thing with that. You've seen now Alabama have problems with them 2 years in a row. So I actually started to dig into why, because with two different coaches having problems in that game, what's the common denominator? My personal opinion is because what hasn't changed is the defensive scheme. The defensive coordinator that's come into Alabama runs a very similar defense to Nick Saban. So looking at that, and then you look at the fact of the play caller at South Florida came from Tennessee under Josh Heupel, that says to me that's a stylistic mismatch that disadvantages Alabama. And I think that's just what that is. Because you saw Alabama struggle with that Tennessee offense in 22, and South Florida runs basically the same thing. Now, obviously, not to the level they don't have Tennessee level talent, but what's the analogy I'm looking for? Well, you know this, fools. You like boxing. Styles make fights.
Right, 100%.
And I think that's exactly what you have with South Florida's offense and Alabama's defense.
Yeah, I could see that. Just a bad mismatch. Yeah,
Exactly.
I haven't watched South Florida play any other games other than that one game, so it's really hard.
Well, most people
These are
haven't.
their drives. These are their drives tonight. I don't know who they're playing, but 11 plays, 64 yards, touchdown. 2 plays, 38 yards, touchdown. 13 plays, 72 yards, touchdown. 3 plays, 17 yards, touchdown. 14 plays, 70 yards, touchdown. 8 plays, 93 yards, touchdown.
A defense better pack their lunch and eat their Wheaties.
Yeah, and then you got Byron Brown, who's a very mobile quarterback.
Not the greatest passer, though.
Yeah.
This isn't a guy that's the biggest threat in the world with his arm.
Yeah.
This is a guy like Cam who is going to extend plays with his feet. You're going to need to probably keep a spy on him for when he likes to take off.
Okay, they're playing Southern Miss. They're up 49-24 on the road at Southern Miss.
Well, and LW does bring up a good point that I forgot that they did start that transfer quarterback. We'll call him quarterback-like from Notre Dame that came over with the offensive coordinator. I did forget about that was the game that he benched that Nick Saban benched Milroe in and started Tyler Buckner.
That is right.
And there's something I want to bring up. A video.
Who by the way, he's a walk-on wide receiver at Notre Dame this year. By the way,
no fucking way.
Yes, Tyler Buckner's a walk-on wide receiver at Notre Dame.
Oh, geez.
That dude's getting put in more positions than a prostitute. So this is just something I want to bring up real quick. I am so glad we don't have Manny Diaz anymore as our head coach, because this dude went into the stands to celebrate with fans like he just won the ACC after beating UConn by 5, and they were down in the fourth quarter against UConn.
Hey man, leave Manny alone, man. It's Duke. There was no talent there to begin with. What little talent either left with Elko or went to the NFL. The quarterback transferred out. It's Duke, man. Like, it's a basketball school.
I mean, this is pretty funny though. Their first game they won versus Elon 26-3. The next week they beat Northwestern 26-20, and then this week they beat UConn 26-21. I don't know, it's just funny. They can't score more than 26 points.
That's consistency. Yeah. That is consistent. Well, he got a backup. I like his quarterback. Don't get me wrong, but he got that backup from Texas, Malik Murphy. And he's, like I said, what talent didn't go to the NFL defensively went with Elko to Texas A&M, and it's Duke, man. The cupboards are bare. So I think he's trying to do the best with what he's got, and in my opinion, doing a pretty good job.
You want to know who they play next week?
Who's that?
Middle Tennessee State.
Uh-oh.
They're gonna go on the road to play Middle Tennessee State.
Oh, they have to go on a road for that as well. That's
hey, now you realize they have the potential there. You're going to hear a whole bunch of smack talk from all 5 Duke fans on the internet if Manny beats Middle Tennessee and Mario lost.
No, there's a lot of Duke. There's a lot of Duke fans on the internet. You're going to hear smack talk from all 5 Duke football fans on the internet.
That's what I meant.
Do you even know any Duke football fans? I don't think that
I've come across some on Twitter, actually. Dude, I found a Cal fan on Twitter.
A Cal fan?
Yeah, man, it's like finding a Pokemon in real life.
No, I found that because when they beat Auburn, they posted like a Photoshop edit where it's like, you just lost to the woke agenda.
Oh, they legitimately put up a billboard with the score of that game.
Yeah,
and they put ACC over SEC. I love it when schools troll, man. I do.
Yeah, they put up also a billboard in Charlotte and Atlanta, being like, the final score of the Auburn game, and be like repping the ACC proud or whatever. Like, it's just fun.
Yeah. But yeah, to your point, they're fools. I mean, basically another 250-yard rushing day. Not a whole lot to complain about. I mean, you're consistently passing for over 300, rushing for 250. Not a whole lot to complain about there, unless you're just trying to be overly nitpicky.
Right, and that's the problem we've had with these past couple games. Is, I mean, all you can do is try to. I mean, our total offense was 750 yards today, and we held them to 0. So it's hard to really pick it apart too much. I mean, we can bitch about 85 yards of penalties, but at the same time, when you put up 62 points, give up no points with 750 yards of offense, it's hard to pick that apart.
Oh, I am going to nitpick, though. Mario, you still didn't take a fucking knee. I seriously think this man is trolling me at this point.
Right. At this point, he's out to get Slim at this point.
Mario's like a 15-year-old girl. He goes on on his Instagram story and he posts a screenshot of the song "The Real Slim Shady." he just calls him out without really calling him out.
Now, yes, to your point, 8 penalties for 85 yards, unacceptable. Unacceptable.
Yeah, that's definitely not good. Not good. So there's the one thing we can pick apart is but damn, our defense is looking lights out. I do like.
Oh my god, the defensive line. Tyler Barron. Hello, sir. is there any way we could find an extra year of eligibility for you? And the craziest part is Ruben Bain has played one drive on the whole season.
What's the word on him? Has anybody heard?
Georgia just took the lead on Kentucky in the fourth quarter.
Mario really hasn't spoken on it that I've seen since the initial out for a week or two, and this would be two. And more than likely, this was just precautionary.
Yeah,
because did you need Ruben Bain to win the? Well, he's been on the sideline for all the games.
Yeah. I want to point out something really interesting. Cole McConaughey, who was a 3-star defensive end prospect. If you guys watched at all the fall camp like mini movies, he was very much shadowing Ruben Bain because he's like, oh, I want to be where he was at last year, ACC Rookie of the Year, preseason All-American, this, da 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 da. I just want to give him a little attaboy and good for him because he was getting early snaps in that game and not just like with the backups. Like he was rotating in with the ones and playing in there on the edge in the 2 deep. So job, just nice little shout out to McConaughey. Yeah.
So what do you see looking forward to next week? Let's get a score prediction.
I mean, I said preseason it was probably going to be like 38-21 in the 45-21 range. I would not be surprised if that still holds up. Our defense is really good. Our defensive line especially is really fucking good. And I expect Ruben Bain to come back next week because they know what they're going to be in for with a guy like Byron Brown and an offense like USF. I think it'll be a little tight going into mid-second quarter. Maybe we'll be up, like 21-10 or something, and it looks like there's a game there, and we'll pull away a little bit.
I don't think they'll get into the 20s. And I don't know if this was. I've got a feeling the way Alabama's played, and I'm using their game against Alabama as my judge here. Alabama didn't rush the ball nowhere near as much as they should. It's like they're bound and determined for Milroe to throw the ball. And I actually think you can take very much advantage of South Florida running the ball on their defense. And that was another point I was going to make about the rushing tonight and why I think it can be effective next week. Because Mario's showing whoever's got the hot hand that week is getting most of the touches. A.J. Allen was our leading rusher today. Damian Martinez had 3 carries for 3 yards.
Well, A.J. Allen got all those yards in the second half in garbage time. The main rusher out of the 2 guys that will mostly
he had the most carries as well.
Yeah, but again, that was in the second half. In the first half, we legitimately only had like 5 carries. Like it was very much the Cam Ward show.
Well, and that's something I want to see them get away from. Like, hey, quit trying to win this guy the Heisman, because later in the year that can bite you in the ass. It really can.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I've criticized Dabo Swinney for the same thing. Like, I think it was absolute malpractice in that Georgia game for Phil Maffa to have 6 carries in the first half. And you saw what it did against Georgia. You have to establish a run game against better teams.
Yeah, eventually we're going to have to win a game on the ground.
Yeah.
You're going to have to wear down a defense.
I suspect that's going to be a game like a Louisville or something.
Right. or Virginia Tech.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to make a defense. You're gonna come across a defense that's good enough that they're gonna have to respect your run game enough that those safeties take a step up. So one of your receivers has a chance to get around a corner.
Yep.
So that's, like I said, that's nitpicking, but that's something I need to see change.
Yeah, and just same as last week, it's the penalties, like we were saying earlier. I mean, fix those penalties. That's what, 85 yards.
Honestly, I feel like I've been saying that my whole life about Miami, and I wonder if that's something that's ever going to get fixed.
Well, I wonder if that's not something that everybody says about their team. You know,
Oh, yeah. And the worst.
Well, yeah, but knocking on 100 yards is not good.
No, and easily the worst penalty is like, yeah, it's 85 yards, but this isn't going to show up in that stat. There was one penalty that it was hands to the face against Bell, the backup left tackle. It negated a 60-yard touchdown.
right? Yeah, that was bad.
And mind you, we ended up scoring on that drive, but it was a 1st and 25 when we was 2nd and 25. That what that backed us up to against teams like Virginia Tech, Louisville, even FSU. It's not like a Ball State where you can just convert a 2nd and 25. That's not just going to happen.
So I'm looking at these stats here.
And to be clear, as much as I'm nitpicking about it, it's more of I need to see it more spread out through the game. Because, I mean, honestly, it was fairly balanced, 40 passes to 30 rushes. Like, that's fairly balanced, not a whole lot to complain about. I'm mainly just talking about spread more evenly throughout the game, just to be clear.
Yeah, because in the first half, it was very much pass heavy. Very much pass heavy. And then in the second half, like we had 220 yards rushing in the second half. In the first half, we had 22 yards rushing. That's not
But
good.
now, you know, like I was saying to our defense, I'm looking at the stats here right now. So Ball State rushing yards this game was 6. The whole game they rushed for 6 yards.
I mean, takeouts. I mean, I want to, because that counts sacks too. I just want to be fair, which just speaks to how many sacks
but
we got. I mean, how many in total did their running backs get? Like let's just not count the quarterback. Like let's take the quarterbacks out of the occasion because they had Christian Davis. What the hell are you? He's a running
17.
Their quarterback got sacked 4 times for -24. So you add 24 back. That's still 30 yards rushing on 16 carries. That's damn good. That's damn good.
Yeah, that looks good. No matter who you're playing. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I don't care who you're playing. I don't care if you're playing the Indiana State College for the Blind. Like,
well,
that's
okay. To your point, they had 33 yards rushing from their running backs.
No,
and their quarterback went for -24.
No, because you have to count the negative. Because Christian Davis had 3 carries for -2. He's a running back, and then Keal Kelly was like he got brought in on like an.
Well, yeah, I wasn't going through all the negatives, but just going through. You had 13 rushing yards, 11 rushing yards, 9 rushing yards, and then of course their quarterback had -24.
You go 13 plus 11. 9 is 33 -1 -2. There's the 30. So yeah.
But to your point, the -24, that's the quarterback sacks.
Yes,
is what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah, which I think that's always been a gripe of mine with college football. That is so stupid that counts towards the negative rushing yards. Like, just have it be.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of that.
Like, just have it be do like the NFL. That's the one thing that I'll say, like, was better right there in the college football is like that sort of like stat keeping where it's like keep that as a separate stat. Like why is that impacting like a team's rushing numbers? It doesn't tell you how because if a team has its running backs running for 5 yards a carry, but the offensive line can't pass block and the quarterback gets sacked like 8 times, how is that now fair towards the rushing stats of the team? Like that doesn't tell you how good of a running team they really are because the quarterback just got sacked for like 45 yards.
Well, and it's not hard to do because, like you said, the NFL does it. And I mean, for college football, like even like because you have so many more running quarterbacks in college football, I mean, I think it'd still be fairly easy to keep track of it. If he's in the pocket, if he's in the pocket, don't count it. If he's out of the pocket, count him as a rusher at that point.
No, but also in the NFL, like they can tell what's a carry because Lamar Jackson will go for a carry and get taken out for negative yardage, and it doesn't count as a sack; it counts as a carry, and it's a negative run. Like so they can tell very clearly, like, oh, he's running here to like he got sacked on a pass here. But whatever. Like it's a very nitpicky and stupid thing, but yeah.
Well, hopefully we won't have a whole lot of nitpicking next week. That's what I'm hoping for.
Well, I mean, South Florida. I'm about to say South Florida's the type of team that it really, in all honesty, should just be another nitpick game. I mean, it really should, if I'm just being honest. And especially if you are a legitimate top 10 team, yes, South Florida should be a nitpick game. You should beat them handily. Like, the problem with the score when South Florida played Alabama is that most of it came with 5 minutes left in the game. If they had just scored steadily throughout the game, okay, yeah, that would have been right.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon, I know it's better for content if we're not nitpicky, but I hope we're nitpicky for the next 5 years because then that makes things
well, the whole season, it would be a lot better. Yeah, a lot better to sit here and go, what can we find to complain about rather than, this is a lot better than last season.
Obvious to complain about. Oh, man. I mean, last season started off great too. You had the win over Texas A&M. Tyler looked great. And similar. It's sort of similar. I don't want to say that, but it's true. To sort of last year, it's like you get the big win.
You better find some wood to knock on right now.
My desk is wood.
That better not be that cheap particle board desk. That better be a real wood desk.
Yeah, is that a Kia?
No, I got this on Amazon.
Yeah. You're gonna have to go out in the yard and find a tree to knock on. Jesus.
But sorry, I just can't tell.
He's sitting here watching another real professional here. Appreciate that.
Is that you sparking up for your sake? Yeah, that's real professional.
Never know what you're going to get here.
Hey, man, the 3 shots are just as.
But what was I going to say? Yeah, it's a very similar sort of start with last year, where it's like you get the big win over an SEC team. Quarterback looks great. We just need to see how we look going into conference play. Because last year, that first conference game against Georgia Tech is where it all started to go wrong. Even outside the knee. Because you had the issues that plagued that offense during the middle of the season show up, where it was Tyler had 3 picks, and it's not just 3 awful picks. 2 of them deep in Miami territory. All of them with great protection, basically no pressure, and he just throws those 3 picks. And then obviously everything happened with the knee, and that derailed the season. And then you go to North Carolina, and you fumble on the 1-yard line, and Tyler throws more bad picks. It was just a disaster. But yeah, we're just gonna need to. I know we all want to hop on that Cam Ward Heisman thing train.
I actually don't, if I'm just being honest with you, because winning the Heisman Trophy in college is almost a death nail to your NFL career. 2 quarterbacks ever won a Heisman and a Super Bowl. There's your trivia for tonight. Who are they? I know the answer to this question, but
Oh wow. I don't know. What is it?
Roger Staubach and Jim
Vinny
Plunkett.
Testaverde. No, I'm joking.
Actually, Vinny actually does technically, unless I'm mixing up my years, Vinny does have a Super Bowl ring. Never saw the field, but was on the Patriots roster. So I mean, hey, bench warmer gets a ring too, right? So I guess I don't care how you got it. But no, I'm talking about guys that actually
not doing anything.
Guys that actually played and contributed and all that. Jim Plunkett and Roger Staubach. Those are your only
Jim
two.
Plunkett is one of the funniest stories ever because he was just so awful, and then out of nowhere he just pulls 2 Super Bowls out of his ass.
It is.
See, I personally, I don't care about the Heisman thing. I don't care if we're ranked 10th, 9th, 15th, 8th. You know, I don't care at all about that. You know, I want to see the ACC win. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, and that's still my big thing is, and that's a question that only time is going to answer with this team. Can they handle all the praise and accolades that they're going to get throughout the season? Can they handle winning an ACC title and then moving on into the playoffs? Can they handle that level of success? I mean, it's something that tends to get overlooked, but that is something very much in play with a team that's been down or a program that's been down like Miami. They do have to learn how to win again.
I mean,
and I'm not just talking about the game.
Right.
Lou was saying it, and it's very true. The best thing about the schedule is the fact that after that big win against Florida, where everyone's patting us on the back and telling us how great we are, is that we have 3 games that we should just absolutely dominate, and no one's going to talk about us for a month.
Yep.
Yeah, sometimes it's better off not to be talked about.
Because we've seen what happens. Notre Dame 2017, you whoop their ass. The next week, you're in a dogfight against Virginia, barely beat them. You're up to the number 2 team in the country in the college football playoff rankings. And then you lose to Kenny Pickett, true freshman Kenny Pickett, making his first start against a 5-7 Pitt team. You lose to them on the road to spoil a perfect regular season.
Well, and to be fair, though, I mean, that's kind of the role that Pitt has fallen into over the last 5 years, 5 to 7 years, is playing
15.
spoiler.
15, because you got to go back to 2007 against West Virginia.
Yeah,
they did that again today, too, didn't they?
Pitt's weird this year. No, the last 2 weeks, they've had huge comebacks to win games. Like, I'm sorry, Joey. I know your boys took a tough loss today in that.
I didn't see the end of that game. I was fixing to ask who won that game.
It was Pitt. And then it was really funny because then the Barstool West Virginia account put out a tweet at like one point in the game and was like, "Suck it, Schittsburg," and then he ended up deleting the tweet because they lost the game.
Yeah, don't tweet like that until after the game.
Yeah, right?
No, it just reminds me of that photo of like that dude in his kitchen during the Falcons Super Bowl where the Falcons are up 28-9, and he's like, "Easiest $500 I've ever made," because he bet on the Falcons, and it's like, oh, brother.
Man, listen, if history has taught us anything, it's don't bet on the Falcons. If you ain't learned that lesson by now, listen, I've had to go back and forth with Falcons fans all off season, and it only took 1 week for them to finally see things my way. That division runs through Tampa Bay.
Yeah, the Falcons, that's a doomed program.
They really are. I mean,
it's
that's
so
just the state of Georgia, period. Like, I get occasionally UGA wins one, occasionally the Braves pull off one, but the state of Georgia is just all about choke. Like, what was it? 20, was it 19 or 20, man? The Hawks went on that run and people thought the Hawks were fixing to do something.
Yeah, I mean, you can really go back to the 90s because it's like the Atlanta Braves, the team of the 90s, so many years winning the division, so many years making these deep playoffs runs. They won one World Series.
Right.
And they're the team of the 90s. They won one World Series. You know how insane that is? Could you imagine going back to the 80s and being like, the team of the 80s, the Philadelphia 76ers? And then it's like, they won one NBA title in 1983. What the hell are you talking about? It's like, yeah, it's like maybe, yeah, like, it's like, okay, yeah, the Braves were consistently good, deep playoff runs, all this stuff. But the team of the 90s? The Yankees won 4 World Series. Like, what are you talking about? And then obviously you have the Falcons. You have the Falcons choking. UGA for so many years with stuff like the prayer of Jordan Hare or Aaron Murray with SEC championship game against Alabama where he throws the pass just short of the sticks and the clock runs out on him. And Mark Richt is just standing there on the sidelines like, what the fuck?
Dude, I feel bad for him. That's one of the guys that never got over the hump that, like Dan Marino, that should have.
No, I mean legit, that 2012 SEC championship game was the national title because the winner was going to play Notre Dame.
No doubt, no doubt.
They were going to play Notre Dame, and like even everyone back then knew it.
Yeah,
like you know from experience, like Notre Dame. If you put big game and Notre Dame in the same sentence, it's not going to be a good result if it's for Notre Dame. Like I remember for the 2017 game against them, I was like, I'd only been a Miami fan for like 4 years at that point, and I was watching the game with my sister's fiance, who is a Miami fan also, and I was like, oh my god, it's a big game. Notre Dame's ranked number 3. Like it's gonna be a tough one. I gotta see if we're gonna see if we're gonna pull it out. And he's like, dude, we're gonna smoke them. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, Notre Dame on the road in a big game. This isn't gonna go well for them. And then, sure enough, we blew them the hell out.
I know my parlay went to crap today because I had South Carolina winning, and they almost did it. God,
boy, talk about blowing! Talk about blowing a game. Good Lord!
I had Boston College winning.
The refs also blew it for them. That was bullshit because they were up 4 in the fourth quarter. They pick it off, and it's a 100-yard pick 6. And they not only call the pick 6 back, but they call the interception back, period, because during the interception return, they call a personal foul for a block on the quarterback, saying that they hit him up high, when in the replay, it's not even a blind side. Like he's facing the defender, and the defender hits him in the chest, and yeah, he falls over, and Nussmeier like hams it up, laying on the ground, acting like he's injured. Awful call. Awful call. South Carolina should have won that game 100%.
Yeah. Well, then of course Missouri had to come back against Boston College, so that screwed up my parlay.
Yeah, I had 2 parlays get cooked. Florida, I have even more reason to hate you because I had a parlay of Ole Miss winning and covering a 23-point spread, Memphis winning, and I took Florida to win. They also messed up another parlay.
See, now go ahead and put on your dunce cap because you picked Florida to win.
It was in the swamp, and Texas A&M won a road game in 2 years, and they were starting a backup quarterback. They were starting a backup quarterback.
And what did Billy do? What did Billy do? He put DJ Lagway on the bench. I knew they were cooked then.
He billied it up. He billied it. No, and then I had a second parlay where I picked Memphis to cover the spread, Alabama to win. I took the over on the points for the Texas A&M and Florida game, which it hit. It was an over-under of 47. And I took Oregon State to cover the 15.5-point spread, and they lost by 35. That's why the Big Ten didn't take you.
Oregon finally decided to. Well, I mean, Oregon finally decided to show up.
Yeah, the 1 week I bet on them.
Hey, man, listen.
Did you bet against Colorado too?
No, because I really don't know which way that game was going to go. I did bet against them during the North Dakota State game. I bet North Dakota State to cover, and that hit for me. This is the first week of this season I've gone negative with betting. I lost $125.
I know some people bet. I don't bet on Miami, and I don't bet on Tampa. But for people that do, Miami's in an odd spot covering 3 spreads in a row.
Yeah. I mean, I never bet on my teams, period.
No, I don't either. No, not
because
at all.
I feel like and I've even thought of like, well, betting normally doesn't go good for me. So what if I bet for the other team? And it's if we lose, then at least I get money out of it. But then I'm like, yeah, but the money won't make up for the fact that we'll probably lose because that's going to blow up in my face because God's going to be like laughing at me like, oh, you think you can game the system, do you? Well.
Yeah, Killsborough Kane says he never bets on my. It's too much. Like I'm already worried enough about just winning or losing, much less I don't want to lose my money.
Yeah,
plus 20 years of less than mediocrity.
I'm already worried about us winning. I don't need to worry about us covering now too. Like
right. Let's just focus on the winning. We'll save worrying about covering spreads. After we get a couple of 10-win plus seasons under our belt.
Yeah, there we go. I agree with that.
All I know is
guys, you got anything else? You got anything else about this game or anything like that you want to touch on? Or I mean, it's getting kind of late.
I was just gonna say if we ever end up like making it to a national championship game or something, we should do like a watch party, like the 3 of us, because I feel like a watch party stream. And just stream it because I feel like the mental breakdown.
Let me tell you something. I will. We make it to a natty. I'm dipping into my fucking savings at that point. I'm going to that game. Sorry, Mark. I won't be here for the post game.
Right. Yeah, we might have to.
Let's just go ahead and
from the stadium.
Yeah, well, yeah, we'll do the post game an hour later once everybody leaves.
No, we'll do it the next day after We'll do it the next day from celebrating. That's what we're going to do.
And not early in the morning.
David, we were only a 2.5 point favorite over Florida.
Yeah, it was a 2.5 favorite.
Yeah, no, Brennan, I remember like when the Panthers won the Stanley Cup, there's like a podcast I listened to, and they would all the other games, they would do like recap episodes, and it would come out like an hour 30 right after the game ended. Their recap for after the game won the Stanley Cup came out the next day at like 4 p.m, and they're like, if we don't sound as enthusiastic as we should, we're sorry about that. And sorry that this one's late. We were out partying last night because we won the fucking Stanley Cup.
Hey, listen, I'd be more than happy to do it from the stadium. But you're going to have to wait for some of them people to clear out of the stadium so I can actually get some decent service. Because even on that stadium, like some stadiums have got Wi-Fi, even on that stadium Wi-Fi, there's usually so many people on it that it's still crappy.
Right. And remember, we got to get by South Florida first. So
we do. We have to get through South Florida and about 8 other games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, let's focus on
David,
let's focus on. Point. Oh, he's asking, what's our line over South Florida? I haven't looked it up. If I'm just being honest,
I'm gonna look it up right now. Give me 2 seconds.
I'm kind of curious on that one too.
Okay,
I'm gonna say that we should be in the neighborhood of around a 20-point favorite. I think.
Oh, 100%, Joshua. He said Louisville can be a test too. Yeah, Louisville's going to be a big I mean, that's
they can be like I think that's a trap game for us, but like I don't know who Louisville played today, but coming into this week, I had the same thought about Louisville that I had about like Missouri or Ole Miss. Louisville had played 2 cans of corn coming into this week. Okay, great. You blew out a couple of tackling dummies. What do we really know about you?
Louisville didn't play anyone next week. Next week they play Georgia Tech at home.
Okay.
And then they're on the road at Notre Dame. Then they play SMU, and then they're at Virginia.
What workforce? There were lines. There were lines out for the Miami Florida game in June.
I mean,
so there's a line somewhere for this game.
I'm not seeing it anywhere. Like not on FanDuel, not on Hard Rock Bet. I'm checking USA Today. It looks like BetMGM. A line hasn't been set yet. That'll probably be set for the week.
Maybe it's just those opening games that they set that far in advance. Because I know, not necessarily. Maybe it's just because you had lines out for Florida, Miami. You had I remember the Georgia Alabama line has been out for a couple of months.
But that's a big game.
So
that's like a huge.
Yeah, maybe it's just bigger games that they've already got some lines figured out for them.
Yeah, because I remember during the week is when they announced that we were 30.5 point favorites over. Who the hell did we just? Oh, Ball State. Sorry,
he already forgot.
Yeah, Ball Sack State.
Yeah, we drug our balls across their forehead. I mean, Jesus.
I cannot remember for the life of me. I cannot, and I'm going to end up looking it up so I can come on here proudly next week. But there actually is a university. I'm not certain that they're D1. They may be D2 or D3, but their mascot is a scrotum. I am not joking.
Well, I'd like to know what team this is.
Tune in next week for the exciting answer.
Dude, yeah, if you want to know who this scrotum team is, you got to be here next week.
Next time on Dragon Ball Z, we find out who is the scrotum team.
What time is the game next week?
7 p.m.
7 p.m. All right, so
yeah, we have a night game next week. Yeah,
good.
And all day. Where it's either going to be ESPN or ESPN2 because of it's between us and Florida State who gets the ESPN game and who gets the ESPN2 game. And I've got a feeling they're going to stick Florida State on ESPN2.
All I know is I'm tired of this stupid ACC, the ACC NX that we keep having to switch over to. That's a pain in the ass.
Well, that wasn't this week.
No, halfway through the you were probably ending up your party there, but we had to switch over. We had to switch that like halfway through the game.
Like this game and the Florida game were both lightning delays, so that probably had a lot to do with that.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, of course it was programming, but we had to switch over to that weird channel. I like this Canes thing. Says our defense turned them into blue ball state.
No, the worst part is I didn't have to go through this. I was able to just get on the app because by the time I left, it was figured out. But I saw a lot of people complaining on Twitter where it's like, you guys are saying it's on the ESPN app and ACC network. That's bullshit. ESPN, fix your app. You suck.
Well, yeah, for a while they said it was on there, but you would go to it and it hadn't updated yet, so you couldn't actually watch it. There was 5 minutes of the game where you couldn't watch it.
Yeah, I just pulled it up on my ESPN app because, at least DirecTV decided to get out of their back and forth with ESPN, so I do have that back, thank God. So I was able to pull it up on the ESPN app and just watch it there.
Yeah, well, hopefully next week we'll do the same thing we've done for the past 3 weeks. That would be good.
They should. If this is a legitimate top 10 team, they should.
Yeah, we should roll right over them. Kind of like Georgia should be rolling all over Kentucky, but
13-12. Georgia got the ball back with 3 minutes left.
Yep, exactly.
See, I don't necessarily think so. And like people, people say a good team should be blowing out, Georgia Tech, or a good team should be blowing out Kentucky. Especially when it's like, I realize divisions aren't a thing now, but when it's a divisional opponent in your conference and you're literally playing them every year, there's a level of familiarity there that's going to make them play you tougher than a non-con game would.
Yeah, I mean, we had divisions in the SEC last year, and this was a divisional game, Kentucky versus Georgia. So, yeah, your point's
yeah, that's exactly. Well, and that's why, like,
on the road.
Yeah, that's why, like, a bad North Carolina or Georgia Tech team would play us tougher than a bad Florida team, because, we played them last year, we know them, maybe this and this have changed, but this and this have changed for us. Like I said, there's just much like weird things can happen in rivalry games because there's a big level of familiarity there. You get some of that with the divisional games.
All right.
Right. Well, yeah. Hey, let's go on ahead and wrap this up. What do you guys say?
Yes, sir.
We've been on here about an hour and 20 minutes. We'll watch the end of this game on here right now. Anybody got any last things they want to say or anything?
No, I think we've beaten that rotting corpse all that it can be beat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it was good win over Sucks Balls State, but I mean, it's what we were supposed to do. I didn't expect 62-0. I told you this before the show, Brennan. Slim wasn't on yet. If you had told me you're going to beat both FAMU and Ball State, one of them 62-0, the other one 56-9, which one do you think is which? I wouldn't have guessed that we beat Ball State 62-0. So that is a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, I didn't see us winning this big either. Defense, lights out. You got to give them credit on that.
Oh, you absolutely do, because even a bad opponent, it's hard to shut them out.
Oh, yeah.
And even harder when you've got a bunch of freshmen playing in garbage time.
Yeah, even in garbage time, I mean, we were out there lighting it up. So,
yeah, flying around.
Love to see that. Well, everybody that tuned in, we do appreciate you coming in here. We know it was late night. The game got delayed, so everything kind of got thrown off tonight, but it was great having everybody in here. You guys, I guess next week it should be about 9:30, 10 o'clock, something like that. We'll be on here doing it again, as always. Any last words? Everybody good? You ready to bounce?
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you guys later on. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you here next week.